possibilities of what I could do with the world at my fingertips. My imagination brings a smile to my lips. Fascinated, I'm moving fast. I'm optimistic as the days go past. Opportunity is here for me, so come along and take a look because I want you to see. The world is yours, look a little bit closer. If you want it, come and get it. You can take it over. You can make your tomorrows what you want them to be. You got the power in your hands to shape your history. You gotta take it up a level and go up higher. Put more fuel in the tank and turn up the fire. Come on and take a lift until your destiny. And come on up, come up with me. We're going up, up, and up, up. We're going up, and up, up. We're going up, and up.
Welcome to New Life Lease. My name is Bill Marshall. I'm here to help you learn more about yourself and how to live a happier, healthier life. First off, wanted you to know how special you are. Your body is an extraordinary device that is full of sensors and all kinds of activity going on completely unbeknownst to you. The three main causes of most disease and sickness are trauma, toxicity, and thoughts. I have a naturopath doctor down in Florida that I've been seeing now for a little over 2 years, and he's changed my life immeasurably. Also, my mother has also been seeing him, and he taught us the importance of dealing with these three things and knowing how to avoid drugs, especially pharmaceuticals being a major problem in our society. And the best way to avoid most of these problems is to avoid stress, eat right, and get plenty of sleep. Of course, those simple instructions are very hard to live by. But let's start from the very beginning. How special is your body to you? More important than your car or your house, I hope. And are you caring for your body as well as you're caring for your car and your house? So the most important thing to you is air, of course, and the second most important thing to you is water. And what kind of water should you be drinking? Everybody seems to ask me, what kind of water do I drink? I drink tap water, I drink bottled spring water. The purest you can find is always my answer. Most bottled spring water is unregulated, unfiltered, full of bacteria, parasites, and other unsightly, unwanted or inorganic minerals. Most common, of course, is lime or calcium lime, which is one of the things that leaves that nice cloudy residue all over your bathtub or over your chrome fixtures in your bathroom. Of course, if you have to use tap water, I always suggest using a Brita filter or some other, Zero Water also is another really good but expensive filter. Of course, speaking now of food, most people are eating completely the wrong combinations of foods based on our wonderful federal guideline nutrition pyramid. And of course, it's very unbalanced for health, very well balanced for the very big money-making people and organizations that work in the processed food industry, cereals being one of those. But for most of us, we should be eating 80% live food every single day. Most people aren't even a fraction of that. Live, I mean uncooked vegetables, salads. If you have to have your vegetables cooked at all, do them lightly. Try not to overcook anything. When it's alive, it's alive. When it's cooked, it's not alive. And you actually want to confer that energy from that live plant into your body. One of the easiest ways to do that is to juice. If you've never juiced before, I always suggest picking up an inexpensive juicer like one of the Jack LaLanne juicers, and they have a nice big wide mouth. Carrots, beets, celery, spinach. Put those and a little bit of cucumber, those 5 pieces together into a juice drink. One of the most well-balanced, perfect beverages for the average person to consume. Always try to buy organic vegetables wherever possible. And so there we were, 80% live fruits and vegetables, 10% should be grains, nuts, and seeds, That 10% also includes alcohol in that grain category. So even though alcohol is a very bad thing for most of us, if you have to have a little glass of wine, sort of include that in if you're balancing it out based on these percentages, only have that one glass. Anyway, so the 10% grains, nuts, and seeds. Now we're down to 5% organic dairy, which includes eggs and butter. If you had to change one thing in your life and move over from inorganic dairy to organic dairy, change your butter. Stop buying regular butter and most milk products that we get that are made from cow's milk in America. No other country will import our milk only because of what we do to our milk here. I won't go into the details for this show, but needless to say, it's a pretty sad state of affairs the way we treat our dairy products here. And of course, the last 5% is lean, preferably organic meat. Try to put organic foods in as much of the foods that you consume as possible. A few notes about how to consume your foods. Eating fruit should always be preferably in the morning time when you first wake up. I always suggest having a big glass of water before you start your day, maybe 2 glasses of water if it's not too much for you. Wait about 10 minutes before you eat, then have a nice piece of fruit, maybe an apple or some berries. Always remember to keep whatever fruit you're eating within the same family. So if you're going to eat a citrus fruit, let's say a grapefruit or oranges, stay with that citrus family. Oranges, grapefruits, pineapples, those are your citrus. Then if you want to have berries, maybe you want some strawberries, some blueberries, some raspberries, eat those together. Mixing them tends to have some mixture problems in your stomach, may cause a little discomfort, some gas later. So if you stick with the right fruits within that family, usually you'll do well. Most especially, never eat melons with anything else, and you'll have much better comfort because of that. Also, fruit shouldn't be eaten with most other foods. Eat fruits by themselves. The only fruit that actually mixes well with everything is apples. So feel free to add apples to just about anything. Your body will like that, I'm sure. The 3 main food types are high water content foods, which are just about everything that's plant, for the exception of starches like your rice or potatoes. Starches are the second food family, so you got the high water content for 1, starches for 2, and then your proteins are 3. Proteins would include all meats, nuts, and dairy. So now, of course, eating right is a challenge for most people. Combinations of food seems to be the most common problem that people, I guess, complain about. People that have irritable bowel syndrome, I used to be a sufferer, or maybe Crohn's disease, which is a more chronic problem for people with food sensitivities. But those serious digestive disorders can be avoided if you combine foods in a way that really is not what we call the American way, since American way is meat and potatoes. We're a meat and potatoes nation, and we shouldn't be a meat and potatoes nation because meat and potatoes don't mix very well in your stomach. So the idea is all the high water content foods, like your plants, you can eat all the starch with that as you like. You can eat all of the high water content foods with your proteins that you like. But when you eat the meat with the starch, it seems to cause a slowdown of your digestion, and your stomach, being a very active furnace, is doing its best to break down the food that you put in. But when you put in starch, it requires more alkaline digestive process. When you put in protein, it requires a more acid digestive process. So when putting them both in your stomach at the same time, they sort of cancel each other out. So if you can, which of course is the hardest thing, trying to manage eating your starches with your protein. We all want to eat our potatoes with our meat. If you have to do that, have a little bit of the potato, eat your meat, just do everything, maybe a little bit of flavor if you can, rather than having to eat a whole big portion size of it. Your stomach will definitely thank you for it. Now, also wanted to talk a little bit today about exercise. I actually brought my rebounder with me. Don't know if everybody knows what rebounding is, but it's probably the most powerful way to improve your health and improve your strength and your stamina and just about everything that we tend to do exercise for. But the most important thing is actually lymphosizing. Your lymphatic system sits right next to your circulatory system, or I should say your cardiopulmonary system, which is where your heart pumps all of your blood. Well, your lymphatic system does not have a pump. It relies on your breathing and your muscles flexing for it to actually move along. It's a bunch of one-way valves that work sort of hydraulically, so with pressure it moves and your body allows waste removal to occur, allows nutrition to be delivered to your various cells, and this lymphatic system moves very easily when you are bouncing on a rebounder or a mini trampoline. So NASA discovered after their first long mission in space that the astronauts lost a good portion, almost 15% of their muscle mass during the first 2 weeks they were in space. Of course, most of that was without exercise. They didn't have any exercise programs back then. And what they discovered was that rebounding is what they use to minimize a lot of that muscle loss. They've actually been able to adapt rebounding technology or a little mini trampoline on the shuttle and in the space station, and people have to, or the astronauts are required to exercise daily to help negate any of that muscle loss and bone density loss. So I brought my cellulizer here today. I'd like to give you guys a brief demonstration and explain it, how it works, why I do it, and why it's so great. My naturopath doctor, Dr. Barilli, is also a big rebound fan. He personally has it's called a bounce back chair by the Nedak company, and this is great for people that have any issues with standing, or maybe they have ankle or knee problems, and bouncing on a trampoline really isn't the most ideal thing. But this chair is probably the easiest way to get the lymphosizing effect, which is of course what is sort of that pump action that your lymphatic system needs to become efficient at removing waste and delivering nutrition to all the cells in your body. So this is Dr. Barilli doing his bounce back chair exercise. You also should be doing it with some deep breathing exercises. I'll show you a little bit of the deep breathing as well. He does his a little later than I do mine, but the breathing is very important. And so I'm going to get myself ready here. We're going to move the rebounder up here in front of the cameras, and I'll be back in a few minutes to give you guys a brief little tutorial of the rebounder. See you soon. So my doctor, who actually lives down in Florida now, he used to be a New York naturopath doctor and chiropractor and certified lymphologist. He's an amazing person. He's 80 years old. You just saw a little brief segment with him on his rebounder. And Dr. Barilli has made a number of public service videos, very informative. The idea behind the one we're going to look at today, he is a firm believer in the fact that the birth process seems to cause a severe amount of trauma to babies, and it's his theory that a number of the poorly managed births today in hospitals are causing potential SIDS, or sudden infant death syndrome, as well as potential other causes for autism or any other child related defects that aren't answerable. You know, doing the right things and my kid's sick or my kid died, and why. One of the reasons is due to the trauma during birth. So I'll let you watch this video for yourself. It is a little bit shocking in nature. There is a little bit of a birth process video there, and the doctor is very passionate about this. So hope it's not too shocking for my viewers, but I felt that it was important to show. So here it is, Dr. Barilli.
Hello and welcome to my video. In this video, I'm going to share with you information about the cause and effect of dis-ease worldwide. The majority of people across this nation do not possess this information, do not know why they are sick, but most importantly, do not know what to do to correct the cause of their poor health. In this session 1, I'm going to explain the cause of all disease worldwide. People get sick because of 3 main reasons. Number 1 is trauma, physical trauma, and there's emotional trauma. Then, of course, there's toxicity. Number 2, or auto-intoxication. From the foods we eat, the air we breathe, the water we drink. Now, the third cause of disease is thoughts, auto-suggestion, those internal conversations that we have within our mind. Let us focus on the number 1 trauma, which is caused during the birth process. Here is a very graphic poster illustrating what occurs during delivery as the child crowns out of the mother's womb. What you see is an actual birth process in a hospital where the physician pulls and yanks the child's head in a typical childbirth. There are also times when forceps are used, along with suction, all of which are invasive and cause spinal cord injury as well as injury to the brain stem. What you have just seen is the typical medical birthing process, which actually occurs in a hospital setting. Now let me take you from that process to what actually occurs after that trauma in the living body and how that relates to sickness, disease, and premature death. During my 45 years of clinical practice, I've cared for tens of thousands of sick people. Every case that I have examined shows the signs of neurological interference caused by blockage of this vital life force from brain cell to tissue cell within the body. And now this blockage affects the autonomic nervous system. Now, this poster shows exactly what happens right here at the brainstem when the injury to the brainstem and spinal cord occurs. Scar tissue forms within days as a result of this interference, and scar tissue is a dense protective tissue that forms on your skin after injury. Now, when scar tissue forms on the brainstem or the spinal cord, its density reduces the flow of vital life force down the spinal cord to the vital organs of your body. This creates a state of dis-ease and dysfunction, causing sickness, premature death. If this condition is not corrected, your health becomes impaired and symptoms begin to appear. If you do not understand these healing principles, you will treat your symptoms with drugs prescribed or over the counter, and the quality of your life will get worse and worse. Once the neurological interference occurs and takes hold, your body segments and you go into a downward spiral, and your health and well-being will be dwindling. But all of this can be totally avoided if you correct the cause of your health problem.
So I brought my Cellicizer today. This is a premium rebounder. There's 3 major manufacturers of the premium ones. Cellicizer is my personal favorite, sort of the Rolls-Royce of rebounders. Their base unit runs about $325, and this professional unit, which I have, which comes with the bar and a nice little carrying case with a dolly on it, goes for about $499. Probably the best investment in health I've ever made. I bought mine a little over a year and a half ago. I use it exclusively now. I've stopped going to the gym for any other purposes. I've noticed how much stronger I am, how much more dexterous, more flexible. Everything seems to be improved from using this one exercise. So I'm going to demonstrate for you now what exactly this is and why it's so special. The base of this, the actual mat, is made of a special material. If you buy an inexpensive mini trampoline, this material is usually made of either nylon or some other flexible or semi-flexible material. This is called Permatron, and it's designed a certain way so no matter where you stand, your feet are always flat on it. Now, the technology of rebounding is pretty simple. Imagine you put a scale right here on the mat, and with each bounce, at the top of the bounce, I weigh practically nothing. At the bottom of the bounce, if I'm just bouncing like this without actually bouncing off of the mat material, I'm adding about 25% more G-force with every single bounce. Adding all of that weight to every single cell in my body, that extra resistance, that need for more attention or that activity or movement within each cell is happening with each bounce. So now, of course, this is happening up to 100 times a minute. And if you do this for 10, 15, 20 minutes, the actual muscle cellular activity is pretty intense. You don't necessarily feel it, but your body is alive and activated. And most importantly, as we were talking about earlier, that lymphatic system is actually pumping and moving cellular waste, metabolic waste, nutrition and nutrients to all the different cells in your body and helping you become healthier. One of the biggest reasons for people becoming sick is a buildup of lymphatic waste and actually it not being able to exit the system, and that nasty lymph fluid is actually the cause of sometimes some chronic or serious disease that could come up. So what am I doing here? Just doing this basic bouncing is the most important exercise you can do. It's called a health bounce. And of course, breathing is very important. The way my doctor told me to breathe was to do 3 deep breaths at least once every minute, and at the end of the 3rd breath to exhale all of the air in your lungs out. So you're basically, the next inhale will be inhaling a full amount of air into your lungs. So 3 deep breaths, and the last one you're letting it all out. When I let it all out, pushing it all out of the lungs, when that, like I said, the next inhale, nice fresh deep breath of air. So once every minute at least. I do it sometimes every 30 seconds or so. Now, of course, there's plenty of things you can do to improve strength in various areas of your body. Of course, our most common area that everybody wants to focus on is the abdominals. And this one exercise, of course, once you've gotten yourself used to working on the trampoline, you don't need to hang on to this bar much anymore. Sometimes people prefer to use a door jamb or something to hang on to. But for now, for purposes of this video, I'm going to hang on to the bar, and we're going to work on abs. So with the abs, we have what's called a switch kick. So you're actually throwing your feet up every other foot, and what's happening is every time I bounce down on this foot and I'm lifting this foot up is actually causing tension right here in my abdominals here. So the foot down is not getting much pressure. The foot up is causing pressure on these abdominals. So by switching, you're getting lots of targeted reps on your abdominals. I usually do about 40 of these, 40, 50 of these. Then, of course, after you do the abdominals, you want to work on the sides, those nice little love handles. The way we work on those is doing sort of the same idea, just lifting the leg out to the side. Each time you're lifting your leg out to the side, that added weight is adding extra tension and stress to this area, and that also causes your muscles to adapt and become stronger in that area. So doing the side to side. Now, of course, for those of us with digestive issues, one of the great ways to start out your day is have your trampoline right next to your bed, preferably, or have a nice space in your house where you kind of keep the trampoline always ready to go. That way, you become a very popular spot in your house. So you're going to start doing twists, just twisting at the waist, putting a little extra pressure on the abdominals. As you can hear, I'm already breathing a little heavy since I'm having so much fun and I'm wearing my boots and my jeans and I don't have any light shirt to do this demo for you guys today, but this is very fun. I have a neighbor in my building. She's 82 years old, named Christine. She heard me talking about the trampoline with one of my doormen, and she said, I'd like to try it sometime. I was like, sure, why don't you come on upstairs? I set up the bar for her, because it's not normally set up at my apartment like that, but set up the bar for her. She asked if she could wear shoes. I was like, sure. She gets on it. And the first time she bounced, it was like looking at a little schoolgirl. She got the biggest smile, and she's jumping and having the best time. She jumped for about a good 5 minutes. Talked to my doorman a couple days later. He's like, I don't know what you did up there, but man, she's like full of energy and very happy. And so I thought, hey, well, that was a good description of how I usually feel every time I get off of it. I'm always happy, always feel invigorated. And even though it may look a little silly, I get a lot of people that are a little resistant to try it. They're like, oh, no, I don't want to do that. But I'll tell you, once you try it, it's so fun, and you become so much stronger. You have so much better health because of this. The sweat just comes pouring out of you after about 10, 15 minutes of going. And of course, that is what you want. You want to sweat. You want to get all of the toxic waste out of your body. The only way for that to happen is for you to move your body. Your body does not get rid of waste without you moving it. So move, breathe, feel good, be well.
It's a great day, I'm feeling good. Oh, the possibilities of what I could do with the world at my fingertips. My imagination brings a smile to my lips. Oh, fascinated, I'm moving